Ascension. Bum, 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 bum. Shit. I don't know why I'm doing that. Oh, I'm doing it again. No, I'm going to press everything. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not going to lie. This is my third attempt at recording this podcast. It is now. Thank you. Whatever. It is 5:32 p.m. in Australia, in New South Wales, in the secret location. My name is Amanda, and this is the Tequila Hour. That's right. We will get this podcast going. Oi! What was that? I don't know. Now I'm just smashing pads because I don't know what to do. Anyway, shit. Ascension. Maybe I need to ascend to another planet. Clearly. No. I want to talk about ascension today. Where do I start? Because I feel like I've done this once before and I lost all my audio because I basically got distracted. And I'm not going to blame anyone else. I could blame my husband, which would be an easy go-to because he came home and I was distracted, but I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to blame anyone. I just want to get into it, okay? I want to talk about this today because, I've listened and watched a couple of podcasts that align to this topic of conversation in relation to ascension. If you also are not aware, in my podcast studio, better known as The Forge, that I actually have a couple of whiteboards that if I suddenly have an idea that I want to discuss or a topic of discussion or just a word, I'll write it down on these whiteboards because I think I've touched on this where I'll suddenly have some inspiration about things I want to talk about more in depth, more than just every day. And then it's like, how do I describe this? It's like floodgates open and a shit ton of ideas come out. So if I don't write them down, I know I'll forget them and I really want to talk about them. And for me, it's something that kind of says to me, guess what? You're interested in this and you want to talk about it. So that's what I've done today. And I've had the word ascension on one of the whiteboards for at least a month. And I'm going to talk about it today. For some reason, I need to talk about this today. So that's what I'm going to talk about. But before I get into it, let's just say hello. Let's catch up. Let's have a quick catch up and let's crack on. So let's talk about where I'm at today. Let's talk about moving forward, what this actual episode will look like in a quick breakdown. And then at the end, let's round it all in and go from there. Number one, Let's talk about crickets. Drink break. ASMR. No, let's not talk about crickets. Let's not talk about road and my Procaster too. Let's talk about where I'm at. Okay, so first of all, I did talk about this not that long ago and lost the recording. Yes, I'm harping on it. It is the 2nd of June, 2024. I can't fucking believe we're in June. I don't know where the time's gone. I don't know if it's because I'm not conscious or aware of time or the time-space continuum in its entirety, or I don't give a fuck, or all of the above. I just can't believe that we're at June. I just can't believe it. It feels like, what does it make me feel like? That I need to be doing more, and am I doing enough, or am I just doing enough and that's all that matters? I don't know. Do you feel the same? Do you have the same acknowledgement around time at the moment? Do you feel like time is just slipping away? And then in line with the topic of discussion today, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it matter? Does time exist? Is it a straight line? Mate. Yeah, we're going there. What else shall we touched on? Touched on. I want to quickly touch on that now that we're in June, and I know I didn't touch on a lot in regards to mental health in the month of May, because May was the month of mental health awareness. I did discuss how I was doing some training at work around mental health as a mental health first aid officer. That training was 2 days. I am going to leave it there. Consonant? Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Mindful, same word, same meaning, different word, that I'm not going to discuss work. May I say, though, that I'm actually proud of myself that I did the training, because I'm going to say to you, there's at least 3 times where I actually backed out of the training because of my awareness around my own mental health and my life path around that. So I'm actually very proud of myself that I did the training and I didn't lose my shit, to be honest. And I could talk more about my mental health, yet I acknowledge that through circumstances that I've become greater aware of, I really want to lead the direction of this podcast in a more light direction. I still want to talk about mental health. Don't get me wrong. It is a subject that is very important to me and should be talked about and discussed on the daily, in my opinion, in an open and safe and welcoming environment. Can I say that's always the case? No. But I will say to you that I'm not going to just not talk about it. But what I want to do today is I want to talk about this topic of ascension. And why I want to talk about it is, there's many reasons actually. First of all, the word ascension. I don't know what it is, and I will talk about what the meaning of ascension is. It's something that it has sparked an ideal or an idea in my mind, and I can't let it go. So I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about a couple of things around that. So when I talk about ascension, and let's stop. Let's stop. Let's break it down. Picture break. Yeah, bitch. I have to stop because I'm trying to calm down because I'm excited, all right. Just breathe. Just breathe, Amanda. I don't know why I'm so wired. It could be because I'm on to my second monster. That could be the issue. That could be the issue here. It's actually a lot of it's a lot of things. One, I lost all the audio that I just recorded and I was on a roll. Two, I lost my train of thought. Three, my husband came home and I completely lost my train of thought. Four, I'd had a couple of drinks and now I'm starting to get sober. Five, I'm on my second monster. Six, it's Sunday and now I'm like, I need to feel like I got to hurry up because my husband will be home again very soon because now he's left again to go to the gym and he will be back home very soon. So I just need to crack on and need to focus. So let's just let me focus. Let me breathe. I'm going to take a second while I'm doing this. I'm just going to record this as well. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take another. Ascension. Like I said, I had the word written on my whiteboard in my podcast studio for at least a month. I have recently watched 2 YouTube videos, not about Ascension, but about sense of self, self-development, about self-enlightenment, and all of the above. I will name those 2 YouTube videos that I have watched. But why I talk about this is if you listen to this podcast, and thank you to those who do, you would be aware that these topics are something that are closer to my frontal cortex, that are at center of my own thought processes, separate to life and work and relationships, that are highlighted because for whatever reason in the last 2 years, and there's many reasons actually, I can describe the many reasons, but I'm not going to get into it, that this is something that truly does fascinate me. I want to learn more about, I'm interested in, and I'm on a journey of. Am I on a journey of suddenly discovering myself? I've always been on that journey, I think, to be honest. Am I on a journey of self-development? Again, always been on that journey. If I was to say to you that it's a journey that's been truly highlighted in the last 2 years to 3 years of my life, separate to any moments of time where I've had to really acknowledge my mental health in line with my cognitive thought processes, then it's a little bit different. Where am I getting at? What I'm trying to say to you is that these are ideals that resonate with me at this present time in my life. For whatever reason, it's like I am getting massive downloads of data around this in my mind. If you believe in something else, then I would say to you that wherever this is coming from, it's not just inside of me, but outside of me. And it's a time where perhaps I now have the mental capacity to understand or truly try and understand where these thoughts are coming from. And then, I don't know, through a sequence of watching videos and reading books and listening and talking, where I come to my own conclusions around these ideals or ideas. It could very well be that I'm at a place now that, yeah, I've gone through a whole lot of shit in my life, and I've come out the other side of that, and then I've gone, and where is this leading to me? What do I want from life? What do I want? What do I need? Who am I? What's my journey? I could go on and on, to be honest. And yes, this is a very vast, it's a chasm of enveloping thoughts and processes that is so wide that if I let my mind truly go there, will I come back? I don't know. It's that vast. It truly is that vast to me. And I'm not scared, actually. If I was to say, yeah, there's a little bit of scareness there because I know the power of my mind and my thoughts and where that can or where it has led me in the past. But when I'm saying to you that I'm excited to see where this goes, I'm fucking excited. I actually am. So I want to talk about the idea of ascension and whether we need to find ourselves to ascend. I'm going to repeat that. Ascension and whether we need to find ourselves to ascend. So today I'm going to talk about the concept of ascension in self-help and self-discovery. And I'm going to talk about that very question. Do we need to find ourselves to ascend? So first of all, I'm going to explain what the word ascension means. I'm also then going to talk about some different perspectives around ascension. I am then going to talk about integrating perspectives. I'm going to talk about practical tips. I'm going to talk about my own personal reflections around this topic, and then I'm going to wrap it all up into a nice, tidy, beautiful present to hand over to you to then contemplate and then give your feedback on. So let's go from there. Let me find for you a smash pad. Not really that. That is really not, is it? That's really loud. Let's go with that. And the end. Why did I use stormy weather? Stormy weather. Is that a song? I'm pretty sure it is. No, I don't know who sang it right now. Just let it go. Now I've got that song in my fucking head. Just that word. Stormy weather. When I think of ascension, I think of, okay, I'm going to sit here and tell you what I'm thinking right now when I say the word out loud to give you a picture of what I'm thinking and feeling. Ascension, I think of ascending. I think of looking up. I think of a spirit, it's a spiritual nature. I think of reaching a higher plane or a higher place, a thought. I think of reaching a higher plane of feeling and conceptualism. There's more. I don't know more what that more looks like, but I'm going to talk about it today. Okay. I want to talk about, in regards to the dictionary, from the Oxford Dictionary, what is the meaning of ascension? Ascension, the action of rising to an important position or a higher level. The ascent, for example, the noun as in N-O-U-N, not a D on the end. The ascent of Christ into heaven on the 40th day after the resurrection. Noun, ascension. What do they mean, or what does it mean by ascension? Formal, the process of rising to a position of higher importance, rank, or success. And then if I was to say to you in regards to spiritual ascension, because that's probably where I'm leading into today, spiritual ascension. What is spiritual ascension defined as? Spiritual ascension, also known as spiritual awakening, is a natural process of evolution. It involves shedding the old self and experiencing a profound inner rebirth. Many describe it as being upgraded, rebooted, or elevated in vibrational frequency. I'm going to actually stop there. Would I say that spiritual ascension, in my opinion, is being rebooted? Kind of, but no. Upgraded? Probably yes. Elevated in vibrational frequency? 100%. This is probably where my interpretation is probably, and my ideals around this are leading into, is vibrational frequency. I've touched on topics around quantum entanglement. I'm going to touch on that topic again. I'm going to talk about energy. I'm going to talk about all of that. There's so much to talk about. And for me, I'm not an expert on this. So there is times where I'm trying to conceptualize my own thoughts and feelings around this and not sound like a fucking wanker, to be honest. But that's not going to stop me from talking about it, because it's really these are subjects that really do interest me when I talk about ascension. So there's also, via a quick Google search, 5 different forms of spiritual ascension, or spiritual awakening is something that, a lot of people might resonate more with. Awakening of the mind, awakening of a new personality, awakening of a spiritual energy, awakening of the soul, total awakening, in brackets, enlightenment. And wow, just think about that for a second. Awakening of the soul. I'm just going to think about me and my thoughts and feelings around that. Soul, who you are at your very core, your essence, your spiritual body. This is something I am working on. I'm going to be very direct and clear on that. It is something that I probably have worked on in and out throughout my life. When I say to you through this podcast, and this is probably why this podcast is actually being created in one aspect, is the awakening of the soul. Yeah, it is actually. Thank you. It is the awakening of the soul. I am exploring what that means to me in reference to a myriad of subjects around self-development and self-enlightenment. I don't know all the answers, but I'm wanting to know what they are. Or do I need to know everything? Kind of. And again, I think of that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I could have just butchered that movie's name, but there's so many things that I'm truly fascinated in this line of discovery and education that it probably will take me to the end of time to have a greater understanding where I fit in with all of this. But I want to say to you that I don't need to know all the answers now, and that's why it's kind of exciting and kind of frustrating at the same time. I am conscious that I'm not going to know all the answers. Yet I do have a plethora of places where I can find information that might help me walk on a path to discover the answers that I am seeking. I'm sounding like some weird guru when I'm saying this out loud, and that's truly not my intent. It is just, I don't know, if these are things that don't interest you, just stop right now. Okay, I'm going to be very clear. If this is a topic that doesn't interest you, just fucking stop. To me, this is absolutely unequivocally, is that the word? Blows my mind. Truly interests me. I'm balls deep. I don't have balls. I'm into it. Okay? I'm very interested. I'm now at a place where I am, more comfortable with my mental space and my mental health to then explore these issues. I think that's what it is. I'm in a more comfortable place with my position in life. I've been through some shit. I've gone through some shit. I've worked through some shit. I've come out the other side and gone, fuck yeah, I did that. So now I'm at a place where I want to learn more about this. I don't know. It just fascinates me to no end. So that's why I want to talk about Ascension today. And there's so many tools now that we have at our disposal that we can use as humans to then explore these. You know, we have YouTube. For me, I have YouTube, I have books, I have audio, I have fucking AI, I have people, I have all of it, all encompassing, where I can just have these thoughts and feelings and then reach out using these different types of platforms to educate myself, and I love it. I can't get enough. So that's why I want to talk about this today. So I want to dive deeper into, I've given an explanation what the meaning of ascension is, essentially. And then I want to talk about some of the videos that I've recently watched that don't talk about ascension as such, but really I want to talk about the idea of, do we need to find ourselves to ascend? Okay. And reason why I say this is that to find who we are, and what do we define as who we are? Is it our soul? And what does that mean? Is it our ego, which of course it is? Is it our soul and ego? Is it not us at all? Okay. And this is another concept. It's not us at all. I'm not saying that we're empty vessels of nothingness, but I'm saying that, and why I touch on this, I'm trying to articulate my thoughts here because it's very deep and complex in my mind to explain what I'm thinking and feeling around this. And let's touch on, this might help. Okay. 2 nights ago, I watched a podcast, Mayim Bialik's, or Bialik's? No, it's Bialik's, I'm sure. Bialik's? Sorry, Mayim. I'm sorry. I'm saying sorry because I think you're fucking awesome. Mayim Bialik's break down the podcast, basically. She did a podcast with Kunal Nahar, who was on The Big Bang Theory. This was his second return episode where he talked about, and the title, to give you an idea, is Kunal Nahar is back to help you release the illusion of yourself and stop living someone else's life, is the title of the podcast. I watched this podcast on YouTube. Life is one big surrender is the, what do you call it? Not hashtag. What's the word? There is a word for it. And there was one part when Jonathan is Mayim's partner, where Kanal talks about, not about ascension, but he talks about sense of self, and then he mentions that perhaps, we're all searching for something and we don't need to be. I don't know how to describe this, but just to, I suppose, let's just break down that maybe we don't need to analyze everything and just live in the moment is probably what I'm trying to get at. Instead of just trying to sort out everything in your mind and understand every fucking nuance of every fucking thing, then instead shift that to just living in the moment. And with anyone who understands or has dabbled or dabbling in meditation and self-improvement and self-analysis would understand this, where just being mindful and living in the fucking moment. Because time will go on, things happen every day, time is just moving and everything's moving. And he gave an example of sitting in the park and he was thinking about something and there was children playing in the background, and he was thinking to himself, these children will always be in the park playing in the background. It might be the same child, but these things will still happen every day till the end of time. And he spoke about that, and then I remember Jonathan was saying about, that, and this is where it gets very complicated for me to really interpret my feelings and thoughts around this. A feeling, okay? So Kanal was talking, and then Jonathan mentioned that it's about energy, okay? So this leads me into quantum energy for some reason. It's about energy that people give out. It's about the energy that all of us have. Maybe you don't even know that it exists. It's about tone. When he said something, and in his tone, he said a sentence, and I'm not going to say it verbatim, but he said something that immediately, for me personally, I started crying. And in my body, now I'm getting airy-fairy. I don't care. In my body, I felt it. It wasn't painful. It was a sense of energy that I acknowledged that I started to cry. And I wasn't sad, but I was. And it was like, for a split second, not that we were one, but it was like he emitted a certain frequency of energy and I felt that energy. That's probably the easiest way to describe it, because it's hard to describe. If I was to say to you it's like a wavelength, if that makes it easier for you to understand. And this whole podcast might be way out of your understanding, so there's that. But when I say to you, he said something, and I felt that physically in my body as a feeling, not a thought, as a feeling, and that I cried, and that I wasn't sad or unhappy. I felt it, and it was powerful, and I felt connected to him. And then Jonathan mentioned that he felt something. And he tried to describe what that feeling or energy conversion or wavelength or whatever you want to call it was. And it's hard to describe, but in that moment when he said something, it could be, and I agree, because Jonathan mentioned this, it could be the tone of his voice and what he said combined that then created a gateway for energy to move through him And then through, I don't know, how do you describe it? Like project out into the universe. And then for people who then watched this particular podcast or heard this particular podcast and then Jonathan mentioned it, they picked up on that wave. The only way I can describe it is a wavelength in its simplest form. And Jonathan was then trying to interpret what that was. And when he was saying that, I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I don't even know how to explain it. And I'm trying to explain it now and I sound like a fucking nutter, but I'm not. And why I'm talking about this today is that it's not even that, just that. It's that concept, that energy, all like that movie, all together, or everything, whatever it's called. It's, I don't know what it is, but somehow I feel like I'm called to talk about it. And I feel really emotional about it because it's deep and resonant and it's not heavy, but it's heaviness. It's powerful and strong and exciting and links me to others. And I only can interpret it as sound and voice and wavelength and entanglement. And I don't know how else to describe it, but as soon as Jonathan mentioned this, I'm like, I understand exactly what you're talking about. And he didn't even understand what he was talking about, in my opinion. And I understood exactly what he was talking about, and that's what I want to explore. And for me, when I talk about ascension, and I truly do ask that question, do we need to ascend ourselves to truly ascend, or do we have to find ourselves to ascend? We're always, I'm going to say that, we're always, if you are a person who questions their reality, I'm not saying I'm not real. Clearly I am. I'm a person, I'm a human, I have a body, I have a presence. This is my body, okay? I am a person, but I can clearly see and acknowledge that it's not just the physical body. Do I understand what that other thing is? If it's my soul or my essence or the core of me, I don't. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about enlightenment and discovery and understanding and consciousness. We can go the side of science and we can talk about neurological things and we can talk about psychological things and we can talk about Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and lots of other psychologists, psychiatrists, etc. Or we can also talk about the spiritual realm, which a lot of people would understand or have a greater appreciation for. I would say to you, and I think I've touched on this in the past, do I believe in God as a person? No, I don't believe there's one entity. I would say that there's something. I don't know what that something is, but there clearly is something when I can say to you that I watch a podcast, one person says something, describes something, and I feel that something. And it's not just that I'm associating that something that he's discussing. It's truly like in my body I feel it. It is an energy exchange that, and I don't know what that is in its entirety, and I want to know. I want to know what that is. And it's making me emotional because I really do want to understand what it is. So, and I don't know what my intention for understanding it is for. I mean, is it just because it is? And I think of the word quiddity. Is it just because it is? It is what it is. And it's nothing more than that. And that's enough. And am I okay with it just being enough? And that's really difficult because for someone who, if you want to then go into the psychological side of things where you feel like you're never enough and then you want more and you want to understand more, to then let that just be and just be in the moment and it is what it is a very challenging thought process that's really hard to understand, acknowledge and practice, to be honest. And then I would say to you that this is the reason why when people talk about self-development and self-awareness and self-discovery, where they do use tools like meditation, they use tools like mindfulness, they use yoga, they just, go for a walk, they use physical exercise. There's many things that we can use under the umbrella of this to just quieten the mind enough to open a space to allow this to just be or to understand it. If this is something you want to let in and maybe understand. Yeah, I don't know, it's just truly fascinating. I'm just going to stop there for a second. Okay, I had to stop. I felt like I was losing my way. Anyway, what was I talking about? No. I want to go back to the discussion in relation to Ascension today. So the idea of whether we need to actually find ourselves to ascend in relation to self-discovery, and that ascension isn't about finding a fixed self, but rather about continuous growth and evolution. It's about shedding old patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us and becoming more authentic and aligned with our true values and purpose. Where others believe that understanding and embracing our true nature is essential for ascension, as it provides the foundation for deeper spiritual growth. This process involves, of course, introspection, self-awareness, and often transformative experiences. I mean, let's be honest. In my opinion, it's a mixture of both. Do I have all the answers? No, because like I just said, I am on a journey of ascension and what that means, and self-discovery and self-understanding and self-awareness. So do I have all the answers? No, I unfortunately today do not. But what I am doing is opening a discussion for some of the things that in the myriad of topics that I like to talk about. This is probably more on the deeper side of a topic that I have touched on in the past, and something that I will continue to explore, and something I very much look forward to exploring. And yeah, I'm actually going to cut it short today because, one, I've lost my train of thought. I'm going to be straight up and honest here. I've lost my train of thought. I have recorded, then re-recorded, stopped, and now started again this podcast. And yeah, I think I need to give myself a greater expansion of time to really touch on this subject in my personal opinion and what it means to me without interruption. So I'm going to stop it there. So anyway, I want to, as always, thank those who do listen and take the time to listen to this podcast. I truly do appreciate it. I might touch on this subject again because I feel like I'm cutting it rather abruptly, and due to circumstances, read into it if you will, then that's what's happening. So I want to touch on this subject again. I will do that later this week. I will do that, may it be Wednesday evening or Thursday. I'm not quite sure, but I will touch on this subject again. So look out for that and I'll keep you posted. But let me get back to my outro. Thank you to those who do listen, and thank you to those who do take the time to download this podcast. I truly do appreciate it. You can download this podcast via Buzzsprout, which is the platform that I use that is basically linked to platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And on those two platforms, if you could take the time to review and give me a 5-star review, it would be greatly appreciated. You can contact me anytime via info@thetequilahour.com.au, which is my email address. And like I've mentioned, primarily I use social platforms such as Instagram and YouTube, which is the Tequila Hour, and the _1_Amanda as platforms to promote this podcast. So if you want to check out what I'm doing, then you can contact me there. Anyway, thank you again, and I hope you have a great weekend. And I'm just going to stop it. Yep, that's right, because it's my fucking podcast and I can do whatever I like. And I'll catch you later in the week where I won't be interrupted and maybe touch on the interruption. And we'll go there. Anyway, have a great one, and I'll see you then. See ya. Bye.